Hi guys, today we're going to do a review of ShareSite. Now ShareSite is a shares or stocks management program. I believe it was developed in New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken, by a father and son team, but it may be based in Australia now. Don't quote me on that. I'm going to review it today because I started using this program about 2 weeks ago and I really like it. I've actually got the paid version. Now, just a disclaimer, this video has been sponsored via ShareSite in the form of a license, but if I did not have the license, I think I probably would purchase this package anyway, beyond the free version. Now, if you like this review, there is a link in the description below where you can get a discount on your ShareSite subscription. So firstly, I'll take you through what I like about ShareSite, and secondly, I'll take you through what I don't like about ShareSite. There are more things that I don't like than I do like, but saying that, I still believe it's quite a good program or app, and I think if you are a long-term investor or even a trader, then I believe this is a program that you'll really get a lot of use out of. Now, in the past, I was using Google Sheets. I have been using Google Sheets for about 4 years to manage my investments, and I went as far as writing scripts for Google Sheets, and that would give me a monthly report on the first of the month. It would give me a breakdown and a graph of my total value, of my profit, of my gains, my percent gains, and I could look back on the past 4 years and see, basically how I've gone. But there were some limitations, particularly when it came to dividends. I had to manually enter the dividends in, and a lot of the time I just couldn't do that. I was too busy with taking care of my family. The really big thing that I like about ShareSite is it's hooked into the dividends. So when a company releases a dividend statement, if you have holdings in that company, they will automatically ripple through to your ShareSite portfolio, and you can go and see what your dividends are. Now, the other thing that I really like is ShareSite, it can be synced with your broker. So for example, I use CommSec here in Australia, and I also use CommSec International, and you can add a ShareSite email address to your CommSec brokerage account in the notification settings. So when you do a trade, buy or sell, you will receive an email to your personal email address, but it will be CC'd to ShareSite, and it will automatically be added to your portfolio. So I find that really, really helpful. Now, the next feature I really like is combined portfolios. So I've actually got 3 portfolios in here. I've got my portfolio, my son's portfolio. He's only 4 years old and he has a sizable shares portfolio. And my wife's portfolio, but my wife and we combine our portfolios into one. I'll show you what I mean. I can look at my portfolio here, and I can look at my wife's portfolio here, but we can also look at a combined portfolio in a consolidated views section. Now, it's very easy to set up. You just go to settings and toggle which portfolios you'd like to include. Now, I find that really, really helpful. So I can scroll down and we can see our total return per annum. It's a little bit down from what it was just before Christmas, thanks to the Orange Man's tariffs, but that'll pass soon, I believe. You can scroll down and see all of your holdings. You can see all of your cash accounts. That's another great feature that I'll just quickly touch on, is cash accounts. That's not included in the free version, but it is included in the paid versions, paid licenses. And I like the cash accounts because it's a great way to keep track of your brokerage account, how much money is sitting in your brokerage account. Now, saying that, there is a limitation to the cash accounts, and I'll go over that shortly. Now, one of the great features that I like is grouping. So if we go to Account Custom Groups, this allows you to group into sectors. Like, for example, you could group into speculatives, ETFs, you could group into minerals, you could group into retail stocks. What I've done is set up my S&P 500 ETFs. There's currently 1, 2, 3, 4 holdings in there. Some of them I've sold already, but they're still sitting in there. Then I've got another group for Apple, a group for Costco, and a speculatives group. Now, you can set up your own groups, and what that does is it allows you to go into the reports, and then when you're looking at your diversity, you can select the report to show your custom groups. Okay, my group's there, run the report, And there we have what I like to look at. I like to look at my holdings in this way. So I've got 47% currently in S&P 500 ETFs. I've got 19% in Costco, 14% in Apple, 10% in speculatives, and 7% in cash. Now, the way I like to work my holdings, and this is not financial advice, but the way I like to work it is I like to have at least 50% S&P 500 ETFs at any one time. So in the future, when I have some money in my brokerage account and I hit my purchase threshold, which at the moment is about 3,000 Australian dollars, I'll probably go and purchase $3,000 worth of S&P 500 ETFs like SPY or IVV here on the Australian Stock Exchange. You can configure those groups any way you like, but it does ripple through in many different areas of ShareSite, and I find the custom groups is really, really helpful. The next feature that I like about ShareSite is that you can share. So if we go to account and then go to sharing and permissions, I've shared this with my wife so she can log onto her phone on the mobile app, and she can quickly look at our holdings and look how we're going. If you are in a situation where I am, where I manage the investments on behalf of our family, when your stocks are doing well, and again when they're not doing well, this is when they're doing well, you can ask your wife to pull up the app and have a look, and she can see that you are managing the family investments quite well. I don't ask her to look when they're down, I ask her to look when they're up. Now let's go into the next feature that I like, which is the reports. ShareSite has some great reports. The one that I like to look at the most is diversity, which I've shown you already, but also exposure. Now exposure is great when you are investing in things like index funds as well as individual stocks or shares. I'll show you what I mean. So you can see here that there's this graph, this circle graph or this pie graph rather, has been broken up into many more segments than it was before. And what that's showing you is the underlying stocks as well as the direct stocks. So for example, with Costco, I've got one direct holding there, but I've also got holdings within IVV and within SPY, both in my SPY and my wife's SPY shares. So you can see that I've actually got more exposure to Costco than what I would see in a direct holding report. Now that works really, really well if you, let's say Apple for example is in some turmoil and they've changed leadership team and you want to exit from your holding, you can actually go through your portfolio, including your index funds or your mutual funds or whatever, and you can see how much actual exposure you have to Apple. So I find that exposure graph and the underlying listings really, really helpful. And as you all know, with index fund there are different levels. So the S&P 500 index fund SPY here in Australia has 500 holdings in it. So you could show the top 500, or you could show the top 250, top 100, or top 50. But if you want to see every single holding that's within your index fund, ShareSite can do that for you. So here we have the summary, and you can see all of these holdings that are underlying within that index fund. So that's quite interesting to look at. I didn't know that, well, I had a suspicion, but I didn't know that I had holdings in Berkshire Hathaway. So there it is right there, Class B shares in Berkshire Hathaway. I've got 3 underlying there, which is 0.89% of my portfolio, or roughly 1,000 Australian dollars. Okay, so we've covered the points that I like about ShareSite. Now let's cover the points that I don't like so much. The first point is you can't sync with CommSec International. Now I know there are other international brokerage accounts. I have another international brokerage account that I can use, but I'm with CommSec. I've been with them for a long time. I don't change things unless they're broken. I really wish that ShareSite would develop a connection the same way they have with a domestic broker, a connection with the international broker. I don't know how they would do it, but all it needs to do is record trades automatically into ShareSite the way that the domestic platform does, the domestic broker, and I'm sure it is not too hard to do. So ShareSite, if you're watching, please give us syncing with CommSec International and other Australian international brokerage platforms. So I mentioned before the cash accounts are great, but there is a limitation, and that is that there are no bank feeds. Now for Bank feeds, if you don't know what they are basically just a connection with your bank, and the account balance in your bank will ripple through to the corresponding software like ShareSite. So for example, I run a program for my business called MYOB, which is an accounting program, and any time that money hits my bank account or multiple bank accounts that are synced into MYOB, it'll come up as a transaction that needs to be reconciled. And I think that should be standard in all levels of ShareSite, in all, the basic subscription all the way through to the expert subscription. So I would encourage ShareSite to look at that. The next point that I don't like so much is the mobile app has limited functionality. I would like to see reports in the mobile app. Currently, it's just a very basic overview of your portfolios. You can toggle between portfolios, which is nice, but I think for the price that you're paying for ShareSite, I think the app could have a lot more features. Now, the next point that I think is a bit of a drawback for ShareSite is the pricing. It does seem a little bit pricey for me. I don't know why they need to charge this much, and I think it's because people regard this as one of the better platforms, at least in this part of the world. If you look at the prices here, you've got the free package to start with, but it's very limited, 1 portfolio, 10 holdings. If you look at the starter package, it's $19 per month if you pay in one payment per year, or $25 per month if you pay monthly payments, and then goes to $29.38, and then up to $65 a month for the expert plan, which is what I'm on at the moment. I think that's really out of reach for a lot of people, especially in a cost of living crisis. So I would like to see ShareSite just review your prices. I think that a lot of people are upset with the price. I know there's a Reddit thread out there where people are sort of saying that ShareSite is not worth it, and that you can do all the things that it can do in your own program like Excel or Google Sheets. So I think that ShareSite possibly needs to read these Reddit threads and just listen to the public a bit, and you may get a lot more subscribers for a slightly cheaper price each year. And the final feature that I think is missing is it's not possible to share a consolidated portfolio. This consolidated portfolio that I'm looking at here, mine and my wife's portfolio together, I can't share that with my wife. She can only view single portfolios within her app, her mobile app, unless she is subscribed on one of the premium plans. And I think that needs to be reviewed. I think if I'm paying for a premium plan, they should be able to be shared with one other person, your partner. So I would encourage ShareSite to look at that as a possible feature in the future. So that's my review, guys. I think it's well worth getting onto ShareSite if you want to keep track of your dividends, if you want to keep track of your performance and get multiple different kinds of reports. I believe I will keep using this program. It's much better than what I could construct in Google Sheets. Even with writing scripts and so forth. If you do want to give ShareSite a try, there is a link in the description. There's also a free plan that you can sign up for. Thanks very much. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.